Hello BookTube, it's Ben here from the History Fellow channel again. Now, if you're a subscriber to my channel, you'll know that I'm a big fan of World War II history. So I tend to do lots of different small videos about various aspects of World War II. So it just gives people a better understanding of World War II. It's not all just about, the Blitz or the Battle of Britain or Adolf Hitler or D-Day. There's many different aspects to World War II that tends to get forgotten about, which I suppose is the usual thing with most things. People concentrate on the big things in life or the most notable things, and so the smaller things in life get forgotten. But today I thought I'd do about World War II in the Far East, places like Japan or Burma and the Pacific. I've got 4 books here. I'm missing the 5th, but I can't seem to find that. But I've got 4 books here about the war in the Pacific, but I've also got some images of war books, which I'll probably do in a separate video, because they're basically full of pictures, and I'll see if I can get some of them downloaded to show them off better in the videos. But I've probably got about 7, 8, 9 of those books that cover various aspects of the war in the Pacific. So I'll leave that for another video. But first of all, I'm going to do these hardback books based on the Far East. Right, the first one is called Thunderbolts over Burma. This is a pilot's war against the Japanese in 1945 and the Battle of Sitang Bend, and that's from Angus Findon, with Mark Hillier as the writer. I think Angus Findon is the name of the pilot, and the writer is Mark Hillier. It's a fantastic little book. It's about a pilot who joined up to the RAF late in World War II and was eventually transported out to the Far East, whereas he'd previously flown Spitfires. He was now flying the Thunderbolts to great effect, and did really well, and ended up surviving the war. And it's just a really interesting book if you're interested in people's experiences of flying, especially in that theatre of war. And the good thing about this book is at the back of the book it's got pictures of the pilot's flight log, all his book. So it shows the descriptions of the flights, what happened, what he encountered, planes that he shot down, and it's a really good book, this one. That is published by Air World Books. Right, this next one is a book I've just finished reading, which is Japan's Pacific War. It's Personal Accounts of the Emperor's Warriors by Peter Williams. That's published by Pen and Sword Books. And really it's a collection of accounts specifically by Japanese soldiers in the war, and it's a collection of the stories, interviews, diaries, specifically from Japanese soldiers, and looks at how they saw the war, what went on, what they thought of the fighting, what they thought of their opponents in the war. And it's a really good book, a really good collection. And what I enjoyed about the book is that often with World War II books you'll hear about what the British and American and even the German soldiers thought of the war. So it was nice to read a book about the Japanese viewpoint. And I think the thing that comes across in this book is how determined they were. They don't really like the enemy, and they're far more committed to the cause. It's almost like, you know, it seems to take over the Japanese soldiers that they've got to win at all costs. Whereas I think if you look at like American and British soldiers, it was a case of, well, they were going to war, they were going to do what they did, or they were going to do what they had to do, and hopefully they would win, and then they'd be out of the armed forces then. So it was kind of, you know, the Japanese accounts make them seem far more determined. So that's a really good book anyway. This book I haven't got around to reviewing yet, but it's called Stalins War on Japan. That's the Red Army's Manchurian Strategic Offensive Operation in 1945 by Charles Stevenson. That's published by Pen and Sword Books. And I'm really looking forward to this one. On the back, I'll just read you the first paragraph. The first full-length popular history of the Soviet Union's decisive offensive against the Japanese in Manchuria and Korea at the end of the Second World War. In-depth account of the military operations which destroyed Japanese forces in the puppet state of Manchukuo. So I'm going to be reading this book soon and looking forward to it. So I'll probably do a review on that one. And this one, this is what I'm going to read next. This is The Jungle War Against the Japanese. From the Veterans Fighting in Asia, 41 to 45. And that's by Tim Heath, one of my favourite authors. I'm going to read that. Hopefully, if my wrist is better, I'm going to read it later, or start reading it at least. And the fifth book I was going to read but can't find was called First Burma, which looks at the war in Burma from a British soldier's viewpoint. It's a very good book, very detailed, and it specifically looks from like the commander's viewpoint, so those that were in charge of the various battles in the units. It looks at their viewpoint rather than the everyday soldier, but it's a very good book and worth getting. And hopefully if I can find a picture of that or the copy, I'll put a picture up here so you can see it on screen. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next time. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And I shall see you next time in the next video. Thank you very much.